Hi, I'm Bebedora and welcome to my kitchen. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a basic bento box. Now, the components to the box that I have are the lid and two layers. In the top layer, it comes with a spoon and a pair of chopsticks, and in the bottom layer, it actually has this really cool insert divide, but I also have some silicone cups of various shapes and a couple of really cool small cookie cutters. So these ones are dinosaurs because my awesome boyfriend loves dinosaurs and I love him. So the other thing is, for remembering for bento boxes, is the bottom box, if you have a 2-stack, is primarily for your carbs, either rice, noodles, or sandwiches, things like that. For this one, I'm actually going to be making it for my mother-in-law, and I'm going to be making something that I can't pronounce it, but it is basically kind of like a maki roll and a sandwich together. It's almost like a sushi sandwich, but it is really, really cool, and I'm pretty excited for it. I will also be making, cut that. So mine also comes with a really cool little band to keep it all together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the carbs. Oh, when you're doing a bento box, a third of the box is supposed to be your carbs, a third protein, and a third your vegetables. Now they often use pickled vegetables and things like that because they have a lower bacterial content, and because a bento box, which is basically just a lunch box, often gets made in the morning and then not eaten until noon. It needs to be foods that can be eaten hot or cold, and foods that can last without refrigeration. So it's often things that are pickled because vinegar and salt are antibacterial, but also fried foods because something in the fat actually acts as a preservative. So for this one, for my vegetable, I'm going to be using these grapes that I picked up. They're already pre-washed, and I actually already cut out to test some carrots into these cute little dinosaurs. Look at this T-Rex. Now, with the excess cutouts, you can either just use the scraps for making into something, or you can just eat the outside circles, because honestly, if you enjoy the vegetables that you're putting into your lunchbox, you're probably going to enjoy them as you're making it too. So I'm just using medium warm, to rinse the rice. And the reason why you want to rinse the rice is, as you can see, all of this white stuff is the excess starch and silt from being in the bag itself. So you don't need to do a really good scrub. You just put it into your, whatever you're going to cook it in. This is going to be in a rice cooker. And you just give it a quick rinse. And then to drain it, it's as easy as pouring it over your fingers so you don't miss any of the extra, and just draining out as much of the water as you can without spilling out the rice. So this is 1.5 cups of rice, and according to the bag, I'm going to put in 2 cups of water, which is slightly different from ratio from normal cooking rice, which is 1/2 cup of rice to 1 cup of water per person. And so these last little grains, I'm just going to pop back in there, and I will add the rice and put it on to cook. You can cut. In this bowl is the cooked rice. I have put it into here to cool, and it's now at a workable temperature. I have a 1/4 cup of rice vinegar, and to it I am going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then I'm going to stir that until it's dissolved and add it into the rice. So that looks about right. Now I'm going to pour all that into the rice, and I missed a little bit, but that's okay, so I can just mix it in and give this a proper mix. This will give it the traditional flavor, but I think it also helps with the rice texture and stickiness itself. Now, the rice needs to cool down to room temperature before you can actually use it to make the sushi and for it to stick together properly. If it's too hot, I have learned firsthand that it, A, is really hard to handle, and B, does not roll and form properly, as the extra heat actually changes the texture and consistency of the dried nori, making it really easy to rip apart and just really hard to handle. But sometimes mistakes can still be tasty.
Good.
So this is my prepared bowl of sushi rice. In it is 1.5 cups of rice cooked in 2 cups of water in the rice cooker. To it, I have added 1/3 cup of vinegar, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. You dissolve the vinegar, sugar, and salt in a separate container before you add it into the rice. You mix it well and you let it cool. Now, the vinegar mixture you might want to adjust as you prefer, but just like anything else, it's practice until you find what you like. This is just the salt, vinegar, and sugar ratio that I like. I don't like overtly salty things, but I really like the rice wine vinegar taste, and I find that it makes it more refreshing. So for these, we are making the rice dish as a nori style sandwich. Now, I cannot pronounce the Japanese term, but they have 3 different types of rice that they will often use for it. They have rice balls, which I do not have the seasoning to make. And then they also have a stuffed rice ball, which once again, I don't have the bonito, I believe it's pronounced, flakes that you use for seasoning the rice. Or they make these basically almost like a sushi sandwich, and they are really nice. They're like a sushi roll or a maki roll, more precisely, because it uses nori. Anyways, enough of my rambling. I am just going to get into it. So I just took this out of the pack, and this is the ones that I'm able to get here. So yeah, just 1 square, and when you place it, I was double checking. This side is your textured side, this side is your shiny side. It needs to be shiny side down. I have to double check that often. So for this one, I'm just going to move the rice. I have a piece of cling wrap over the normal sushi rolling mat that I have. And the reason being is because for this, you actually make squares of rice. And I'm going to try making them so I can transfer it over so that I can make thinner layers. So it's just, this is a piece of cling wrap, just so you know I'm not putting it directly onto the counter. It's just a square down, and you pat it and smooth it out. But you want 2 roughly even layers, and these will be your center square. Of course, the rice would prefer to stick to me rather than the wrap, but this way, hopefully when I roll it, it will be a little bit more uniform. Oop. Crap, restart. So I'm just going to scoop a bit of the sushi mixture. Now, what I have here is a piece of cling wrap over the nori, which is also over another thing for cling wrap, which we'll wrap it in the end. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to make 2 roughly even-sized thin layers of rice. And they need to be a small square, and I need it to be sized to the actual size of the nori itself. So I'm just patting it down, and I'm going to shape it up a little bit. And this will make it so that I can transfer it back on for the top layer as well as the bottom, and have them be about the same amount. Okay. Just thin layers. Once again, it's really important to make sure that before you handle any food, please wash your hands. I've already done mine just off camera because the sound of water on camera, well, you can't hear me talk over it. Okay, so that's my first square. And cling wrap loves to cling to itself more than it likes to cling to what you want it to. Okay, I'm just going to make another square, and I'll see you when it comes time to stuff it. So I have 2 squares of rice ready, and I'm going to put the nori. As you can see, this side is shiny, and this side is more textured. You need to put the shiny side down, and it needs to be in a square. I'm just using the mat for sizing. Now you take your rice, and you actually want to put it in a diamond shape in comparison. There we go. To your rice, and you're just going to pop it into the center, and voila. Not bad. A little bit stuck to me, but that's okay. Shape up what you need to. Okay, now for filling for this one, I just took a vegetable peeler over the cucumber so I can get really thin slices. Same with the carrot. And for the crab, I just tried to cut it as thin as I could. So I'm going to put cucumber first. And after that, I'm going to put down my pieces of crab. And I'm just trying to cover it fairly evenly. There we go. And then I have a little bit of cream cheese, which I did try to flatten, but cream cheese does not flatten very well. So I'm just going to pop that over top and try to smooth it down a little bit. And then I'm going to put the little bit of carrot, and I'm going to put a little bit more cucumber at the very end. Now you don't want to put too much in it, just like you don't want to put too much in when you make your maki rolls, because you don't want it to not close properly. Which is why I'm trying to do thin layers of everything. But I also believe that flavor profiles are really important. Actually, that might look good as it is. So I'm just going to put the square of rice over top. And 1, 2, 3. Just how it sits, and then pull back. Okay. Now the water, oh, of course I get some rice stuck to me. The water in this cup here is actually to seal the edges of the nori. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line around the edges, just using my finger and the water. It's similar to what you would do for the maki rolls, Maki. How do you guys pronounce it? I have a minor speech impediment, which you've probably noticed from me trying to say the word sushi to start with. But foreign words are fun, because English is already hard enough. Okay, so now it's starting to roll slightly. But what you're going to do is you bring in the first edge up, and you're going to press really firm. Your hand apparently gets some rice on me. And then I like crisp corners, so I actually fold down the corners before I pull the next side in. You don't have to, but just showing you what I prefer. I do the same thing for wrapping a present. Maybe that's why I like making these so much. It's a little bit like wrapping a food present. And boop. And then you continue on with your wrap. There you go. And then when you're ready to put it in, we'll cut it in half. But for right now, I'm just going to pop it in the fridge and we'll move on to the next part. See you soon. So I'm going to make some little octopus sausages, and for those, I use these cocktail smokies, but I do find that it's actually best if you rinse them before you cook them. I have no clue why, but they taste way better if you do. I'm making for a couple of people. Don't show the sink.
Me too. I paused it?
Yep. So I just rinsed them under cold water real quick. Now what you're going to do is about halfway down, simply cut and cut. Just like that. I'll cut one in slightly more just so you guys can see what it'll look like. So I'm going to try to cut this one into sixths. And it's really actually kind of difficult to do. Because they are pretty small. When those cook up, you'll see why I prefer to cut them into the fours. So I'm just going to cut these up and I'll be right back with you. So I've cut all of our sausages and I'm just going to pop them into a pan. Move them around a little bit. And I'm going to turn them on to about a 4. But I'll be 1 second because, as you can see, they're a little bit dented from the packaging. And when you cook them up, you just put a little bit of water in the bottom. Pop a lid on them, bring them to a boil, and then give them a light fry with a little bit of butter or a little bit of oil or whatever you like. You can even have them just steamed, which is what I'll be doing. But we'll see you in a moment. We have a pan full of little weenie octopi.
That is?
Yep. I have these cute little dinosaur cutouts. This one's a T-Rex and this one is a long neck, whatever those were called. And to make the vegetable cutouts, it's really just easy. Place your thing down, put it in the center, pull it off the edge. You've got yourself a little dinosaur medallion and a dinosaur. So I've done up some in here and I've just been sliding the little wedges beside it. So to keep these 2 silicone cups held in place, I've got the grapes, but there was some space. So I just took the carrots and rolled them into these cute little carrot flowers and just popped them in. Now you often see these done with tomatoes, but unfortunately I am actually allergic to tomatoes, so I don't use them normally. I'm allergic to them when they're raw. Oftentimes, instead of using grapes, they'll use your tomatoes, both of which are a fruit, but they use them as the veg part, which is why I used grapes instead, because I'm not allergic to them and I like their taste. Now, the top section, as you can see, it doesn't move very much other than what's in the cups, and that's exactly what you want. You want it to be packed well enough that things aren't going to shift on, but not so full that you can't get the lid. For the bottom section here, I just cut it in half, and what you do is you just pop it and it's saran in. You can either put it in this way or in like this. I'm going to do that. That's how it fits best. So I'll take it out. And pop it in like that. Then I've got my cute little divider. It's got sloped edges, so makes it really easy to stick it in. Boom. And then I'll put the little octopi hot dogs now that they've cooled. And I'll just grab a spoon. Pause. They split a little bit higher when they're cooking, so next time I'll only cut them halfway, but you'll learn with me. Now the ones that I cut into more sections spread more, and I don't know, I think that's just so much cuter personally. You can stand them up, you can lay them down. That one really broke. But I'm just going to pop in a couple. And then pop in another little cup. And that would be for whatever condiments you want. I'll probably send ketchup because it's the most common here. But yeah, once it's all done together, I'm going to push down these legs so they don't jump ship. Quit rebelling. Together, click that together, and then oh, this is a little push stick for the cutters, for in case you need it. I've got these cute little panda forks, and I'm just gonna pop a couple in. Oh, I missed the carrot. That guy in there. I don't want him to stand up too high. And then put the utensils on. Grapes are pressing up against it, but that's fine because the cool thing about these bento boxes is once you get the lid on, put it on the band, slide it into place. It's got little notches on it, and then you're good. We'll be eating this one here, so it doesn't matter that the lid's not quite right, but make sure when you do put them on, the lids stay tight.
And cut.